All right, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of VGF Strat Corner podcast. This episode I'm kind of excited for because I think it's an underrated character. We're going to talk a lot about some Wang today. It should be a lot of fun. And our special guest today is a formerly of the Midwest, but now on the West Coast, Mr. Brahma. What's going on, dude?
Hey, how you doing, guys?
So first, I actually have to ask. What I didn't realize until recently that you had moved to the West Coast.
Oh yeah.
Did you go out there for like a job or what?
No, I just like it out here. My wife and I came for vacation a couple of times, and we both just quit our jobs and moved out.
Nice. You're beach bums now, huh?
Yeah, pretty much.
So you live in SoCal then, I take it?
Yeah, in San Diego, actually.
That's where everybody seems to go when they move
Yep.
out to California. Okay, well, I mean, you're a mod on the TZ boards, so
Yep.
hopefully everyone recognizes your name, knows who you are. But just in case for those newer players who may not know much about you, give us like a quick recap, like where you're from, what games did you start playing, when did you start playing Tekken, all that good jazz.
Yeah, I'm originally from Indiana. Lived there for 20-something years before I moved out here. Always enjoyed playing fighting games. When I was little, I played Street Fighter 2 and the first Marvel games. Then I found Tekken arcade one day. Tekken 1 started playing. I started on Jack actually, and doing like the throw where he just like falls on people. And I was like, oh man, this is so cool. And it's all in 3D too. Started playing King, doing like his grabs were really cool early in the game because they had all these awesome animations and stuff. But moved on to Tekken 2, Tekken 3, and then on Tag, I started actually going to tournaments, traveling around, meeting some people. Went to all the E's in Iowa where you guys are at.
Mm-hmm.
You guys threw some good tournaments out there. It was always a good time going out there.
Yeah,
Then,
Tyson put it away for a little bit, King fan.
Yeah.
But we started it back up under a new name, but it's still the E's. We still get crazy trashed and whatnot.
That was always a good time. Yeah, I'd always bring I'd get a motorhome together and bring a bunch of players from Indiana and Michigan with me. So, yeah, and then after Tekken 4 came out, I kind of stopped playing, didn't really like the game. Tekken 5, I had nobody around to play with, so Tekken 5 was pretty much all online for me. And then I moved out here right when Tekken 6 came out. We had a shitty like 6.0 machine for like 75 cents a play out here, so nobody still played here. Everybody went up to like LA to play on BR machines. And when I got out here, I started playing with some other players around, Filthy Rich, Ogre, Markman, some other SD Tekken players, and started doing some tournaments again. So I've been going around a bit, doing the local like California tournaments, SoCal, NorCal. Went to my first 2 Evos. So that's about where I'm at right now. I'm still playing the game on occasion, and I'm actually really excited for Tag 2.
Nice. Well, it's nice to hear that San Diego's picking up a little bit. Last time I talked to Ogre, he said the scene there was kind of dying. So.
Yeah, not a lot of people are playing now. If you want to play games here, it's usually Marvel or Street Fighter 4. Unfortunately, there aren't a whole lot of Tekken players here, but I'm hoping when Tag comes out, I can get some people back into the scene.
Yeah, I was actually talking with some friends last night. We were all hanging out. Next year is going to be a really, really busy year because we have Soul Calibur 5 coming out at the end of January. Then you have Tekken Tag 2, and then you have Street Fighter X Tekken, and I can only presume that Tekken X Street Fighter will be pretty close to that, like relatively, so maybe end of the year we might see that game come out.
Yeah, I'm not sure when that's going to come out, because I know they're going to push Tag for a while, and I don't know if they're going to do like another version of Tag 2, like Tekken Tag 2 CR or, FR, something like that.
Yeah, something R.
Yeah, something R.
Yeah, and I know at least here everyone is pumped for Diablo 3. God knows when that's going to come out. But, I mean, expect everybody to drop what they're doing and just play that and troll on that.
It's going to be a crazy year for games this next year.
Which is nice because it's been kind of slow.
Yeah, up until Street Fighter 4 came out and kind of grew the scene a bit. You know, I don't play a lot of Street Fighter 4 myself. I play a little bit, but the things it's done for the scene just by bringing new players in is so great.
Absolutely. All right, well, we got this character to talk about, and I'm sure that's what everyone wants us to discuss rather than just random bullshit. But, okay, so we got Wang, and I love saying Wang. It just makes for a fun discussion because you're talking Wang. So that's how it goes. But like I said when we first started the podcast, like I'm actually excited to discuss this character because I think he's really underrated. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that you just don't see a lot of players out there.
Yeah, you really don't see a lot of players using them.
But like, just kind of to throw out some general stuff, like I know his punishers are they're still pretty good. He has really good lows. He's kind of all around solid. And then I know a lot of people bitch about, Nina and Julia's Magic 4 because they're 11 frames. Well, he's got one too. So
he does, and the hitbox is a little bit lower too, which means it catches some stuff that might go under Julia's or Anna's.
Yeah, I just don't think a lot of people really appreciate how cheesy and good he is. So.
Yeah.
So I guess let's kind of start off just by throwing this general question out there, which I've been doing recently, asking our experts that I have come on. For this character, if you were playing against him, or I guess playing with him, either way, playing with your Wang, which areas would you focus on? Like, what do you think his best strengths are and his biggest weaknesses?
Strengths and weaknesses. Well, he's definitely got a couple of big weaknesses, and those are punishment and also range. His punishers actually kind of suck. His 10 frame, he's either got 1-4, which is just like a punch, then his Magic 4, 2-3, and then 1-1, which is the start of his 1-2 string. They're all 10 frames. They all do somewhere in the 20s damage. And then he really doesn't have anything that's reliable up till about 15 or 16 frames. He doesn't have any 12-frame punishers. He doesn't have any 13-frame punishers. At 14 frames, he has a mid he can use, the back 2-1, but it actually does less damage than his jab strings. And then
I imagine it has more range, though, right?
Yeah, it does have more range, and it is mid, so if you have something where they end up ducking, then you're going to use that over your jab strings.
Oh, that's really weird at 14 frames.
Yeah, and the other 14 frame he has is standing 3, which it doesn't have a lot of range. It has almost as much range as his jabs, which isn't a lot, but it is a knockdown high. But like I said, it doesn't have very good range, and unless you're at the wall, I would probably just go for your jab strings.
I guess that's simple.
Yeah.
Jab strings are launch.
You just jab everything up until you can get a launch. And at 15 frames, he's got a hop kick, which it's a little bit weird. He has an up forward 3 hop kick instead of most characters up forward 4. And again, range is kind of an issue. It's got really stubby range. You can't punish a lot of things with it if it has any sort of pushback at negative 15. But he does have a high mid string that's forward 2-2. It's like a little double palm push thing. Does about 40 damage, and it knocks down wall splats. So that's actually pretty good. So 15 frames, unless they're ducking, you can use forward 2-2. It's got pretty good range, and it knocks down. And then after that, you pretty much use down forward 2-1, which is his biggest launcher. That's what you do for everything over 16 and any sort of hard whiffs that you get, any long whiffs. So that's one of his biggest weaknesses. Like I said, you kind of have to just jab punish everything all the way up to 15, 16 frames, and even then you may not be able to hit them with something if they're ducking or the pushback is too far.
Well, I know they beefed up his while standing punishing a little bit because while standing 1-1 is new.
Yeah, while standing 1-1 is 13 frames. It's a pretty good move. The first hit of it tracks pretty well. out of the crouch dash, and you can kind of delay the crouch dash a little bit too. But as far as using it as a punisher, it's 13 frames, does about 40 damage, and it wall splats. So that's a really good 13-frame punisher for him. He can get some punishments and stuff that other people just get a wall standing 4 on. And speaking as wall standing 4, it's pretty good. It has quite a bit of range. And it's, your general wall standing 4. I can't remember if it's 10 or 11 frames, but regardless, it punishes pretty much everything that you'd expect it to punish.
Yeah, I would imagine it's probably 11 frames.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 11.
But he doesn't get really any sort of launch punishment from wall standing, though, unless he blocks something big, like snake edge or wipe the floor, in which case you have to crouch cancel and then do down forward 2-1, or do the big up forward neutral 4 hop kick. But other stuff that, a lot of characters like Jack can just do like wall standing 1, or other characters have like big wall standing uppercuts. You can't normally launch people like that. You have to crouch cancel some things.
I did have a question about that, though. Because, for a launcher, normally you just wait for something big and then do like a hop kick, or like the hop kick. Or, you crouch cancel and down forward 2-1. But is it ever for like the very rare lows that are like negative 15 or 16, is it more beneficial to do like his bow and arrow? I guess I'm not sure what it's called now, but
actually, yeah, I still call it bow and arrow, but yeah, I actually use that a lot in place of wall standing punishment sometimes, because you can punish things that are like 17 frames. With like Lars down back 3 or down back 4, whatever that low sweep is. I don't remember how negative it is exactly, but you have to be really quick to crouch cancel and down forward 2-1. So sometimes I just do bow and arrow, just because it's something. Or if I'm next to a wall, just do wall standing 1-1.
Because I'm not sure exactly like what sort of position, because I think it just knocks away. After it knocks down, because there's not really any like strong oki off of that, right?
Not really. If they back roll, you can dash up and do back 2-1 and float them for a juggle. But if they stand straight up, pretty much all you get is the low mid mix up.
Yeah, I was just like throwing ideas around in my head, because I know he has the wall standing 1-1 option, or at like 16 or so, I know he also has the wall standing 3-2 string.
Yeah, wall standing 3-2 is also good.
Yeah, but I didn't know if like maybe bow and arrow set up like certain things better, or like it had something about it.
At the wall, actually, it does set up a lot of stuff. If you do bow and arrow right at the wall, quick stand and then down 2 is guaranteed. Down 2 is a like quick elbow that hits grounded and goes into full crouch. So it goes right back into full crouch while they tech or stand up. So you're in full crouch and you can go right back into mix up, either do bow and arrow or wall standing 1-1 or wall standing 3-2 from there. So it's actually pretty good to set up mix ups. And if they quick stand, you can do crouch cancel down forward 1-1, and that's one of his bind moves. And if they quick stand, it will float and bind them at the wall.
Oh, nice.
So you can actually get like a small wall juggle off of it if they try to quick stand right after bow and arrow.
Does wall standing 1-1 wall splats, right? But wall standing 3-2 doesn't? Do I remember that?
Yes, it does. Yeah, wall standing 2-2 is just like a like mid low string that's all.
Well, the wall standing 3-2 that just knocks down.
Yeah, wall standing 3-2 also wall
it?
splats. Yeah, I actually don't use that move a lot just because it's mid-high, and like I don't play a lot of people who know a lot of stuff against Wang, but whenever I do and I use that a couple times, people usually end up ducking it and punishing me for it, so I try to stay away from it unless it's like punishment.
Man, what is this Wang stuff? It's Wang, okay?
Yeah.
Wang.
I actually go back and forth. Sometimes I call him Wang, sometimes I call him Wang.
All right.
I just remember like the old Tekken 2 where the announcers are Wang Jinrei.
Oh, yeah, it's the whole, Uranus thing. They don't want people to make it dirty, so they try to pronounce it correct.
Hey, it's comedy, so I still call him Wang a lot of the time, too.
Okay, well, now that we have the Punishers pretty much taken care of, let's move on to some other stuff. So you said his biggest weakness is punishing. Is there any other area that's of big concern?
Range, that ties into the punishing a lot because there are a lot of times where he gets pushed back too far to punish, or he has to kind of get in close before he can launch attacks. Like one of his worst matchups is Miguel, just because Miguel, like he's fairly punishable. Like his hop kicks 14 frames, negative 14, but Wang can't really do anything to punish it. Aside from like his jabs, and Miguel like pushes him out so far back on a lot of his pokes and stuff that Wang has a hard time kind of staying in his face and poking with him. So characters like that where they can just kind of push Wang out and not allow him to apply a lot of pressure are kind of tough for him. But fortunately, he does have a really good tool in his crouch dash. He's got a roll dash like Paul and Nina that allows him to kind of get in. And a nice thing about it is it cancels right into the while standing one move. You can do the while standing one right from there. He's also got Death Fist. And in addition to those two like kind of pre-can moves, he can go into full crouch and start his full crouch mix up from there too. So it's basically like a short little crouch dash. You can go into full crouch, and you can also cancel into any of his down back, down, or down forward moves. So you can do like dash in, down forward 4, which is a really good poke with him. It's just a quick 12 frame mid kick. Dash in and do like down 3, which is a quick low poke. Down back 3, you can throw anything that involves like a down back, down, or down forward command, as long as it doesn't involve the the 2 button or the double punch command, because those have pre-canned follow-ups already.
Yeah, I know that was the shit in DR, was doing that because his Death Fist was just so juicy.
Yeah, Death Fist really is pretty bad in this game. Like, I still use a little bit, but it only does 43 clean hit. It does like 50 clean hit counter hit. And it's always negative 17. Like, I don't know if you know about Paul's Death Fist, but it's negative 15 at a certain distance and then negative 17 like farther out. Wang's is always negative 17, so a lot of characters can punish him pretty hard for blocking it. Like Jack can just do down forward 2 anytime he blocks it and full launch him.
What was it in DR? I can't even remember.
In DR, I'm pretty sure it's the same as Paul's, where it was 15 up close and then 17 far away, but you'd use it more because it did like 70 damage on close counter hit. Like this one, it does half that damage, so I don't use it a whole lot.
So, any other areas of concern, or were those just the 2 main?
Those are pretty much the main ones. Are just like punishment. He doesn't get a reliable launch until 16 frames, and just the range sometimes pushes him back too far to do anything.
All right, then. Well, let's talk about his strengths, because that's the fun stuff.
Now, his strengths, he's got a lot of good things going for him. His poking game is really good. He's got the jab strings I talked about earlier. 1-4 is just a quick punch kick. It's safe, but it's high. Jails on block, and it's safe. 2-3, which is the old, I don't know if you remember the old like skyscraper kick he had in like Tekken Tag and that Julia has. That like punch and then straight up kick actually tracks pretty well, that second kick, so you can throw that out sometimes, and if they step the jab, they'll still get hit by that kick. Only problem with that one is it's negative 10, but it's got kind of like a weird pushback on it that a lot of characters can't punish it. Then he's got 1-1, which is part of his 1-1-2 string. That is natural on counter hit and does a pretty good amount of damage and wall splats.
I think you can hit him for a minute to counter hit too, right?
You sort of can. It doesn't have any special animation for it, but when you do it, you can kind of tell, like the way I do it is if I do it and I see him move or try to start doing something, then I'm pretty sure I have him and I finish it. But it does 50 damage on counter hit, and it wall splats too. So it's a pretty solid counter hit move to have off of that jab. Obviously not as good as like Julia's like old 1-2-1, where she got a launcher off of it, but it's still pretty good.
Well, you didn't even have to hit him. You smash it. It's like, oh, hey, I got it.
Yeah, you smash that one out. You match like 1-2, 1-4, and then if they block, the kick comes out. If they don't block, they get launched. But, yeah. Let's see, what else does he have? Down forward 4 is a really good poke that I like to use a lot. It's just a quick mid kick, 12 frames. It also has a follow-up, down forward 4-1. It's just a mid-punch follow-up. It's the kick is really linear, but it's so fast and recovers so well, and it has pretty decent range that you can use it to harass people pretty well. People that are trying to do anything like crush your jabs, if you're throwing a lot of jab strings out there. It's probably my main go-to mid-poke for him. He's also got down back 3, which is his big sweep kick. It only knocks down on counter hit, but it does a decent amount of damage. It does like 15 damage, I think, and it's got really, really long range. And the nice thing about it is it's more or less safe. It's, I think, negative 12 or 13 on block, but at maximum range, it's really hard to wall-standing punish him because the kick has so much reach. And even if they low parry it, a lot of the times he's so far back that you can't pick him up in the normal low parry combo. And it also goes under a lot of mids too. I've seen people try to crush it, and because of the range and because of like how low to the ground he gets, I see hop kicks go over it all the time, which is really frustrating for people.
Yeah, people were hop kick heavy.
Yeah, because people keep getting hit by that low, and, they block it, can't punish it. They low parry it, can't pick him up in a juggle, so they try hop kick, and it just goes right over his head, and people are like, why does that work? That's stupid.
That's when you got to start getting goofy and crazy and just start randomly jumping. Jump.
The good old jump tactics.
Just jump and run your game. But, yeah, I know down back 3 is like... Man, it feels like a broken record. There's so many characters out there with good down back 3s. Just add him to the list.
Yeah. Yeah, and the nice thing about most of Wang's lows, aside from bow and arrow and his sidestep forward, they're all negative 12. So the only thing you get off all of these is just while standing forward punishment.
Yeah, I know my bread and butter was always the down 3-4. And you didn't ever really have to finish it, but just do the down 3 part, and it was just so frustrating because he gets so low.
Yeah, down 3 is still really good. It's another one that gets really low. It's an instant crush. It's fast at 14 frames. It tracks pretty well up close. I know it tracks well to his left, and it tracks pretty well to the right too. If you're right up in their face, if they block a jab string and they try to sidestep, or you block one of their jab strings and they sidestep, you can usually catch them with a down 3. I don't throw out the 4 a lot just because anybody that played BR watches out for that, and I see almost everybody duck after that first down 3. And it's nice because it gets you in full crouch too. You're at negative frames, but you're still in full crouch and kind of apply a mix-up. A lot of people don't like to attack right after that down 3 just because people are used to being conditioned to not hitting after they get attacked. And it connects on them, and because they're kind of scared of that down 3-4 too, because you don't want to catch one of those to the face.
Well, and that's kind of one thing that I always thought made him really scary, is because he has a really good full crouch game, and he has a lot of moves that can get him into full crouch that are also strings. Yeah. So it's like this really weird mind game where, okay, you have to pick either you're going to try to guess the string or you're going to try to guess my full crouch game. So
exactly, yeah, he's got a lot of good moves like that. Like we're just talking about down 3, and down 2 is another one that's really good for him. Down 2 is that ground hitting mid elbow. It's got a full string that's delayable, down 2 double punch. It's an elbow and a headbutt. It's natural on counter, and it does about 50 damage if you hit that all counter, and it's also delayable. And if you just hit the second part on counter hit, the headbutt, you get a full combo from it too.
Yeah, and I know a lot of his strings, including that one, even if you fuck it up and, you guess wrong and they block it, you're not getting horribly punished for it. Because I know that's only negative 12. Back to 112, I know that's only negative 12.
Yeah, Wang has a lot of stuff that's only negative 12. He's a character that it's hard to punish him unless you have a really strong jab punisher. He can play pretty safe unless you get risky and throw out a lot of like bow and arrows or death fist or something like that.
Yeah, because I had a friend. He doesn't really play much anymore. But when we first got T6 and we were playing it a whole bunch, he's a Wang player, and that was his whole game. Like he was just running around poking, doing lots of 1-1s, lots of back 2-1s, and even if I was ducking it and trying to punish, just messing with the timing, stopping after the back 2 rather than doing the 1, just kind of messing with that whole game and doing lots of down 2s, trying to get into full crouch, and it's really fucking annoying. Super.
Yeah, like you said, he forces a lot of guessing games on you. Is he going to finish the string? If he didn't finish the string, is he full crouch? Is he going to bow and arrow? Is he going to do a wall standing knockback move? And, like I said, a lot of these moves aren't really punishable. Like wall standing 1-1, that's another one that's only negative 12.
It looks like it should be way more, but it's not.
It looks like it, but yeah, it's not. Yeah, and that's a lot of his poking game. He's got a lot of really good pokes, and that's definitely where one of his biggest strengths is. He's got his jab strings, down 4-4, down 3, down back 3, down 2. I actually don't use back 2-1 a lot myself, just because it does less damage than his jab combo. It is mid, but I actually play against a couple people that always duck that second hit on block. And so it becomes kind of a guessing game whether to finish it or not, because if I don't finish it, they can duck it and launch me. And then if I finish the string, I get jab punished. So it's one of those things that you end up kind of mixing up yourself.
Yeah, the thing that my buddy was doing, I would, eventually, it doesn't take very much to, realize, okay, I should be ducking that second hit and punishing. But now that it has the third hit to it, he was doing some really interesting stuff with mixing up all 3 of those hits, because, if you do just back 2 and then you duck in anticipation for the 1, I want to say back 2 is, negative 7, something like that, on block.
I was actually just pulling up frame data to see what the
negative 9 it says. So that's a pretty big advantage that you're giving away by ducking, and that whole 9 frame, whatever. That's gone. And if you're doing something like, let's say you're doing wall and you're trying to sneak in a wall standing 1-3, or not 1-3, 1-2. When BR first came out, I was playing law, so that move was just owned if I duck that second hit. But by stopping after the first one and then I'm trying to do this instant wall standing stuff, I don't really have a lot of time to see if the second hit comes out. So you just go into it, and now he has a free launch. So it was one of those things. And then if I actually stand there in anticipation for him just stopping at the back 1, or back 2, he continues it. And then after the 1, if you block the 1, then you have the guessing game of whether is he going to finish it or is he just going to stop.
Or delay it. And it's one of those, there's some about 3-hit strings in this game that are delayable. So many people just fall for that last hit in the string. They'll block the first one, you delay it, and then pow. And the nice thing about that string with Wang, the back 2-1 double punch, if you hit that last one on counter hit, you can actually pick them up and float them. It's kind of hard to do because of the range and timing, but you can run up and do down forward 3+4, the little dragon shoulder throw thing, and pop them up off the ground for a juggle. Or you can run up and do down back 4-2, the little low mid string, and pop them up for a wall splat. So I'll use the string by the wall and just kind of fish for that last counter hit, just so I can pop them up to the wall with that.
Yeah, one thing about those strings, with him in particular, like a lot of people, there's a lot of strings out there where you can sidestep in the middle of them, and I don't think he has any that don't track. Like I know back to 112 tracks, the 12 tracks on that, 112, the 2 tracks on it, down to 12. I'm fairly certain the headbutt tracks. So it's
Yeah, everything kind of tracks to one degree, and I actually like that you said 12 there instead of 1+2, because I think that's totally a Midwest
it is. It's a
thing.
huge Midwest thing.
I say that out here, and people are like, "What the hell are you talking about? What's 12?" It's like double punch, 1 plus.
They're the same thing, you know. They're part of their unit, 12. You know.
Yeah, because I held back from saying that a little bit earlier. I wanted to say down to 12. Now it's like, well, somebody's going to be like, "What the hell is that?" But yeah, that's 12 is both punches.
Yeah, we do that all the time in 24 for a grab or 13. 25. Every once in a while you'll hear some 23s, you know. It's pretty ridiculous. It was actually kind of funny when we first started the podcast, and Dan was my regular co-host. We would always throw those out, and we started switching it up where we would take famous players who have those numbers, and we would start saying their names rather than the number. So like 12 was Tom Brady, you know, and 23 was Michael Jordan, you know, all this other stuff.
I like that. Yeah, I'm going to start bringing that back out here. Bring that to the West Coast.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's quicker than saying 1+2, so like 12. Hey.
It is. It's so much quicker, and you're talking about both punches down to 12. Easy,
super
simple.
Easy. Just got to get used to it, I guess. Now everyone out there knows, once again. All right. So anyway, so we got these strings.
A little off track there.
We were talking about the strings. Actually, one thing that you brought up was the wall. You know how he floats to the wall. I did want to ask because I know that I don't claim to be an expert on him in VR. I played him a lot in DR, but haven't really touched him a bunch in this game. And I know that his juggle game has changed a lot because of the balance system, and I think his wall game has as well. So I guess, does he still have, any good wall carry stuff? Or, because I know, the 4-4-2 or whatever, that's now a staple in most juggles.
Yeah, it is. And Wang actually has a really, really good wall carry game. In most stages, he can get to the wall in one juggle without using bound. The juggle you use for that is your launcher, usually down forward 2-1, forward 2, jab, forward 2, back to 112, and that carries on the lightning rooftop stage. That carries almost to the edge. If you do a dash forward and do it, you can touch the wall from there. And then from there you get a bind and then do your wall combo, and it ends up doing about anywhere from 100 to 110 damage.
That's pretty rough.
Yeah, and then if you use a bind in the middle of the combo, you can definitely get to the wall on pretty much any stage. The only trade-off is you drop maybe 10 points from the combo, so you do 90 to 100.
So what is his wall juice once you get there? Is it just back to 112 or?
There are a lot of different people I've seen use a lot of different things. Usually if you hit the wall with the wall splat, 1+2 is your best ender, or your best bind move, just because it hits so low to the ground and comes out pretty fast. Down forward 1-1, you usually want to use that mid-screen for combos, but it's tough to hit after you do a wall splat. But in any case, after you wall splat, some people do back 2-1 double punch. Back 2-1 12 is one of the easier ones to do. Some people for damage do forward 4 12 2. It's a knee, palms, shoulder string. That does pretty good damage. And the best damage you can get, I believe, is bind forward 1 death fist, which is kind of hard to do. Just because of the timing, but it does a pretty good chunk of damage.
I would guess that is probably pretty easy to hit on the bigger characters like Jack.
Yeah. I mean, it's not super hard to do, but, you know, sometimes you'll slip it up. I don't like doing that just because it doesn't give you a lot of follow-up. I'd rather drop, you know, like 10 damage for my combo and get better Oki. So the ender I use after bind is down back 2-4-1, which is another 3-hit string he has. It does pretty good damage, just a little bit less than like his strongest options, and you get good Oki after it. And Wang is just really, really, really good on the wall. Like, he's significantly worse on non-wall stages. But just he's got so many options at the wall. You go into full crouch, and you have a good full crouch mix-up, and a bow and arrow, and forward 2. You know, bow and arrow puts them on the ground. If they quick stand, you can rebind with crouch cancel down forward 1-1. Or go back into that same full crouch mix-up. If they stay on the ground, or guaranteed, you can do bow and arrow, and then down 2 on the ground, and then go back into full crouch mix-ups. Down for full crouch forward 2 is just like a mid-lunging palm forward. It wall splats, and it's safe. It's -9, and it's got really good pushback to the point where if they block it and then try to do anything after, you can usually backdash or sidestep and get out of it, and whiff punish them and put them back on the wall again. And then like after your staple combo, after back 2-1-12 or down back 2-4-1 ender on the wall, if they tech, you can do sidestep 12.
God, I love
headbutt.
That move is so awesome.
Yes. Yeah, it's the big ones all the way back from Tech and Tag, and it puts them in 10 frames of guard stun. So they can block for 10 frames, but they can't do anything else.
Man, that's silly.
So they're
I love that.
Yeah, they're stuck in that. And when they're stuck in that guard like that, you can just do forward 3. It's 17 frames, homing move, wall splats, and it's safe. So if they do anything, even try to hop kick, it wall splats them. If they try to hop kick, it pops them up on the wall for like a high wall splat instead of a power wall splat, but you can still get your full combo off of it. So if they do anything other than block mid, they get hit by that and splatted on the wall. Now, what most people do is they see that they either stop teching, or they just tech and get up and wait for the sidestep double punch, and then wait for the forward 3, and then try to get away from the wall somehow. So a lot of the times I like to sit them there and, you know, just do like 2-3 sidestep 12s in a row just to kind of keep them in that guard stun.
Yeah.
And that gets people real
Yeah, I know
panicky.
that's rough. I don't think it if you manage to hit it, I don't think it knocks down, right? It just like gives you a bunch of frames.
No. Yeah, you get 9 frames off a hit. So that gives you, again, plenty of time to pressure, and again, forward +3 is uninterruptible.
In this sort of situation, like the scenarios we're talking about with Wang and the wall, this is one of the reasons that I'm convinced, one of the biggest reasons that walls were put into Tekken it was kind of as a balancing tool for characters that have shitty range. And like this is exactly why, because like there's a few other characters too that have the same sort of issue, but as soon as they get the opponent back against the wall, it's on. Like everything comes into play.
Except all day.
But yeah, it's kind of crazy too the way that works, because you have the random stages, and you know some of them are wallless, some of them are wall. It's kind of it almost feels like an RTS kind of, where you're like, okay, which stage is going to give me the best for my, character? It's really goofy, but anyway, sorry, derail the topic a little bit, but
no, that's exactly the kind of thing I was talking about. Just he's so much better with the walls, just because you get basically free mix-ups off of any option. You get, if they tech, you get a +10 guard stun move, which you can do anything. Like I said, like the forward 3 is uninterruptible, but you get people used to doing that, and then you can throw any number of his lows in there. You can do that and then go straight into full crouch and straight into bow and arrow, or you can do the down 3 and go into crouch, or, any number of these lows that he has, and then people just kind of start staying on the ground. after they get tired of dealing with that mix-up.
Does a headbutt hit on the ground? I don't think it does it?
No, it doesn't. But he does have a lot of moves that hit grounded. Down 2 hits grounded. That's the mid that goes into full crouch. So you hit them grounded, and then you go into full crouch and kind of wait to see what they do. If they stay in full crouch, you can just crouch cancel and do it again, or crouch cancel and do down 3 and go back into full crouch. You can do bow and arrow, and if they stay on the ground, they'll both hit, but they can tech in between hits. So if you try to do bow and arrow and they're on the ground, they might tech out of it, block it, and then be able to launch you. So it's kind of risky. But another thing you can do if they stay on the ground is down back 4-2. And if they don't tech, that hits all the way on the ground and hits them on the wall too. And it does, I think, something like 20 damage just for them laying there, which isn't bad. And then you've got the down kicks also, the big stomp. And that's another one that you can use. It does like 30 damage, and that's one that they really want to get up after they get hit by that one.
Well, yeah, and I know like it creates a lot of weird trap situations too if you tech roll too. Because it has that, really, really short range, but like once it hits, it gives them so many frames.
Yeah, it's got a really wide hitbox too, so it catches tech pretty well. And yeah, it gives almost the same thing as the headbutt. It gives it gives a plus 11 guard stun.
It's crazy.
So yeah, if you get your feet stomped on there, you basically get, again, that same mix-up. You can do a forward 3 for if they do anything but block mid, or throw in your assortment of lows there.
So this is just a random question, because I was thinking about it. His unblockables, not necessarily the big wind-up punch, but the one that Julia has as well. Are there any tech traps with that, like off the wall or anything?
No, there aren't with that one, but he's got another one that's for 1+2+3. That's a headbutt. It's an unblockable that hits grounded, and also if they're back turned, it catches to his right and it launches. So and he's actually got a pretty good set of unblockables. The big Julia uppercut punch is really good. I'll talk about that in a sec, but as long as we're on this other one, if you get them back turned in a juggle, like any waning moon juggle or a counter hit down back 4-2 juggle, do 2 hits and then bind with down forward 1-1, and do this move right away, this unblockable forward 1+2+3, it tech catches to Wang's right. So if they tech roll to his right, they get hit and launched by it. And if they stay on the ground, they get hit by it for like 20 damage. So the only way to get out of it is back roll or side roll to Wang's left.
And obviously back rolling is going to be really dangerous. So.
Yes, yeah. He's really good at back roll pickups too. So and aside from that, like his forward 1+4, the same one that Julia has, is I use it a lot actually. And I've hit some good players with it in tournament. Actually, I hit knee with it in tournament. And it's the thing about it is it's got so much range, and most people try to backdash once because they don't think they're going to get hit by it, and it goes so far forward that it catches them when they don't expect it to.
And it's been doing that forever too. Like everyone underestimates how far they just like bolt forward.
Yeah, but unlike in older games like Tekken Tag, this one doesn't track. Like it used to, he would just turn the corner and follow you wherever you go. And now it's super linear, so you can even take like a small side step and he'll just totally run right past you.
Well, I guess that's some sort of balance.
But yeah. Well, if it just tracked completely like it used to, this thing would be totally broken. And the other nice thing about it too is you can cancel it by holding down back, and you end up in full crouch. So sometimes what I do is a lot of people will jump in the air if they're stuck in a corner or something and don't want a chance trying to sidestep it and get hit. So a lot of people jump in the air just to take the lesser damage hit. So sometimes I'll start the unblockable, cancel it into full crouch, and do forward 2 to catch them out of the air and float them. And that's one I actually catch a lot of people with as well.
Yeah, it's pretty tricksy.
But yeah, definitely. Both of those unblockables are pretty good in certain situations.
So to kind of backtrack a little bit, we were talking about wall stuff.
Yeah.
And while we were talking about that, I was thinking about his grabs, and that's definitely something that we should discuss because I still think Waning Moon is the best grab in the game. Like, that grab is so dumb. It always has been, always will be.
Yeah, it's a double break grab, both punch buttons to break. It can be disguised pretty well. It comes right out of crouch dash. If you do crouch dash down +2/+4, you get Waning Moon. So you can sneak that in there in the middle of your crouch dash games, and it's fast.
You can just buffer it out of anything, pretty much.
Yeah, I pretty much do. It's basically a safe launcher, because even if they break it, you're not at a huge disadvantage. They get out of the way, and you're left back turned to them, but far enough away where you still have time to turn around and react to whatever they do. So I pretty much treat it as a safe launcher, and if somebody isn't up on their throw breaks and misses just that one, they lose like 70 to like 100 damage, depending on if there's a wall around.
So what are I'm not familiar with the BR options. So after you hit Waning Moon, like what are your options to launch?
The easiest ones after Waning Moon are dash forward and do the far throw, the forward 1+3 or 2+4. That gives you a free back throw for 50 damage, so 50 plus the 10 from Waning Moon is a 60 damage combo. And that also wall splats back turn too, if you're close to the wall. And so you can follow that with a 1+2 bind and then Death Fist. The other easy one from Waning Moon is dash up Death Fist. It doesn't do a lot of damage. It's probably the weakest one unless you can get a wall splat off of it, but it does, about 53 for the whole combo unless there's a wall nearby. But the best options are either dash up double punch or dash up down back 4-2. I use dash up down double punch because it's a little bit easier than down back 4-2, and usually you catch them back turn, but if somebody knows how to turn around fast, does forward neutral to turn around fast, you'll catch them face forward, so you won't get like a weird back turn juggle. Down back 4-2, even if you catch them back turn with it, it flips them around in the juggle, so you get a normal juggle. So if you run up and do down back 4-2, flips them around, you get to do all your staple juggles. And if you hit a wall, you get about 100 plus damage from somebody not breaking a throw.
That's just straight up fucking silly.
Yeah, it's even worse in tag 2. Also worse for the opponent because you can tag out of it and do any 15 frame move and hit them.
Oh god. That's going to be so nasty. So, I think I just found my second trick.
Yeah, I've got some plans for that.
Oh, man. And you play Jack, too, so, like, all of Wang's weaknesses Jack doesn't have. So.
Yeah, I got to play to a couple of the test locations and trying out stuff like that, and, man, it's still really, really nasty in Tag 2.
So how about his regular grabs? Do they provide, good Oki options?
They're all right. The 1+3 grab puts them in front of him. He jumps over their back and does a headlock slam. They end up face up, feet away. So if they stand up, they're back turned. If you do it next to the wall, you get a free down 3. If they try to stand up, it hits them in the back, and then you get a wall standing mix up on them. And if out in the open, if they back roll, you can run up and get a back throw, get a death fist. Not a good idea to roll back after Wang's throws. After both of them, actually, you can get pickups, you can get death fists, and free back throws. Yeah, it's really nasty. And if you just stay on the ground or side roll, he still has that same assortment of ground hitting mids and lows, stuff like down 2 to put you in full crouch, down 3 to just poke you on the ground, the big stomp, down 3+4. Also, if you side roll, forward 1+2, the like Nina blonde bomb type move, that also hits most characters side rolling, and it hits some bigger characters like King, Paul, and Brian. It hits them full grounded too. So that's also a nice one to use, and that also catches them back rolling too. So that covers a lot of bases for him. And they're pretty useful at the wall too. If you have your back to the wall. Well, my first choice is usually Waning Moon, because Waning Moon on hit, it'll wall splat, and if it doesn't wall splat, it puts them right next to the wall, so you can Death Fist or do another string to put them back into the wall. If they break it, it still switches sides with the opponent. So if you got your back to the wall and you do Waning Moon and they don't duck it, they have switched sides with you now, and they're stuck on the wall. And if they didn't break it, they just lost a lot of damage. And 1+3 on the wall there, if they don't break it, it pushes them pretty far back away from the wall, enough to give you some space. If they do break it, it switches sides. So that's also a nice one to kind of throw out to get yourself away from the wall. Oh, and speaking of stuff back by the wall, if you have your back to the wall, 2 back, which I forgot to mention in his Punishers. Yeah, it's the spin. So it completely switches sides with your opponent. So back to the wall, you do 2 back, and your face is now to the wall, because it puts you back turn. So Wang is now facing you, and you're stuck in between him and the wall and your back turn. Now, granted, it's you're not even at advantage. You are at, I think it's -1. I can never remember if it's a -1 or 2 or what the deal is there.
It says -1 on Ina, but I mean it might bounce depending on situation.
I think it's -1, but it's kind of been debated just because of all the weird frame data with turning around, and I know Noodles did like a study on it, but I can't remember what the outcome of it was. But normally after I do that and put them back on the wall, I just backdash and kind of wait to see how they react, just because a lot of people try to turn around with an attack or a throw. So, I bait them into doing that. I basically get a free like forward 2-2 on the wall to wall split them. So that's also another really good option on the wall. So anytime you're close to a wall with Wang, even if your back is turned to the wall, you can easily turn that around to your advantage pretty quickly.
Yeah, and speaking of that, a lot of people forget about, not only the 2 back and little stuff like that, but he also has reverses and parries. So
yes.
And, a lot of people like to say, okay, reversals and parries, they're really cheesy, they're really noobish, but if you pick your times, they can be really, really rough.
Absolutely, and he's got a lot of different parries. He's got, I'll start with some of the worst ones. Like back 1+2, it's a punch sabaki, which means it's an auto reversal of punches. It's a mid move it's kind of slow, but if you do it right after, you can set up traps with it, like doing jab strings, and then do it right after if they try to jab you back. Crumple stun them. The only thing you can get off of it though is down forward 1+2 if you hit the punch sabaki. So that's an option. I don't use it a whole lot just because he's got better reversals. He's got a really unique move, which is while standing 1+2 or quarter circle forward 1+2. It's basically a focus attack from Street Fighter. He absorbs one mid hit in the middle of the animation, and then he just keeps going through it, and that gives you +10 guard stun. So it's really weird, and the first time everybody sees it, they have no idea what just happened, because he a weird shuffle forward and then pushes you with both of his palms, and it absorbs attack in the middle. The only problem with that is it's kind of hard to time.
Sure.
You can get a lot of use off of that auto, like down 3. If you do down 3 and then while standing both punches, a lot of the time people trying to counterattack you after that, do like a quick poke or something, the while standing 12 will kind of eat that up. Of course, he's got his normal reversals. Those are pretty much the same as everybody else's. They're not any better or worse, but he doesn't have an uncheckable 1 reversal anymore. I don't know if you remember, but in like Tekken Tag and Tekken 5, if you reversed the left punch, the opponent couldn't reverse it, couldn't check it.
I actually was not aware of that. I do not recall that. Huh.
Yeah, that was actually pretty cool in Tag and BR, because people, you could just kind of spam that reversal if they're doing like a lot of left-handed moves, and they couldn't chicken it. But really what is his best parry, his best reversal, is back 1. It's really good for a lot of reasons. One is because it's just a simple command. You're already holding back. If you see something that you want to parry, you just tap 1. It parries pretty much everything in the game. It parries swords, punches, kicks, knees, headbutts. It even parries Elisa's rocket arms moves, where she shoots the arms at you. You can stand all the way across the screen and parry those arms as they come at you.
Well, yeah, I know it's like, as far as how it works, I know it's a lot like Jin's, where you're not affecting your opponent, you're pushing yourself out of the way. So
yes.
So yeah, and that's one of the big downfalls or weaknesses of most parries or reversals or whatever, is that there's only certain things that they can reverse, or you can't do elbows or knees or
like most characters, these elbows, headbutts you can't do. That's why like Asuka has a tough time when she's like stuck in that big parrying stance, because if you have a character with like a good knee or elbow, something like King's hop knee, you're gonna get hurt for doing that.
I always get caught by that fucking thing because it lasts forever. I'm like, okay, it's done. It's done. I can run up and do something. Nope.
Yeah, and that's another thing that's nice about Wang, is he's got a lot of like headbutt moves and forward 412, like a big knee palm thing. So against like newer level players, Asuka players who are doing that counter all the time, he can get around that pretty safely. But back to back 1. Yeah, it works kind of like Jin's, where if you parry a move and it comes out in 4 frames, and it lasts for, I can't remember this, but I think it lasts for another 4 frames. It lasts from frames 2 to 10. So it comes out in 2 frames and lasts for another 8. So if you catch anything in that window, he does like this weird hand-waving thing and just basically moves back past your move. Like he backs up and lets you just kind of do your move in front of him. And unlike Jin's, though, it doesn't just give you frame advantage, it puts you in a stance. So when you parry something, he's got 4 moves from it. He's got 1 for each button, 1, 2, 3, and 4. The 1 is a low. What it does is it's kind of slow, it high crushes, and it gives a sweep knockdown. After that, you can get a free stomp, you can get a free down back 4-2, or a free down forward 1+2. So those are all free follow-ups off of that one, and it's only -10 on blocks. So a lot of characters can't even, while standing 4, punish it. And that's important because after you do back 1, all of these follow-ups, they're not necessarily free. It's not any sort of auto-reversal. It negates the opponent's move. So if it's a move with like big block stun, you don't get that block stun, but you go right into a stance and you can do any of these moves.
Yeah, and that's a really important distinction for players out there who maybe are trying to pick up Wang. Because, I mean, if you just parry a jab or something, chances are they're going to recover before you can get anything. So
exactly. So if you parry, faster moves, you might not want to throw out one of these attacks right away because you can be interrupted out of them. I know when I play Rip a lot of the times, I'll parry something of his and go for one of these moves, and he'll Dragon Stance parry me out of my reversal. And it's really frustrating. But it's important to know that any time you parry something, it's not necessarily free. There are a lot of free moves you can get off of parry. I'll talk about that in a second, but for the other follow-ups, he's got the 2 follow-up is just like a quick Death Fist type punch. It comes out pretty quick, and it's safe. It's a -9, and it knocks down. So that's a really good one. It walls. It's his fastest follow-up out of that. So if you parry something quick, obviously jabs you're not going to be able to punish, but if you punish something a little bit slower, like sometimes a lot of like down forward ones, certain kicks and pokes and stuff, you can do the 2 follow-up and get a free hit on them. Really good at the wall because it wall splats. Back 1 and then 3 gives you a weird twisting hop kick type thing, but it basically acts the same as a hop kick, except it's -13. It's a launcher. You get a full combo off of it. And it does the same thing as the hop kick does, where it low crushes. And back 1-4 finally is just a big low kick that comes in straight and it sweeps them. The only problem with that one is it's -24, so it's really launch punishable. You can even crouch cancel and stand up and hit him with whatever. But the nice thing about some of these, back 1 and back 4 are both high crushes. So we're talking about if you parry a jab, if it's like a jab string, like a 1-2 or like a 3-hit high string, you can do a 1-1 or the back 1-1 or the back 1-4, and it will go under that second hit of the string. And so you can use that to punish some jab strings. Same with back 3, except it's a low crush. So if they have a string that's mid-low or high-low, like Miguel's got, I think it's like down back 1-4 where it's a mid then low, you can parry the first one and then use the 3 to jump over the low and launch them. So it really helps to know your strings in that regard, because he can get around a lot of strings by parrying the first hit and then using like the tech crouch or a tech jump, the high or low crush properties, to get around that next hit and score a free launcher, at least a knockdown.
Random question, because while you're talking, I'm kind of looking over the frame data and whatnot for the parries. It's for the damage on the back 1-1, it says 6, and then in parentheses 20. Is there like some sort of weird second hit to that? I don't know.
Yeah, because like he hits them and then they like fall and hit the ground. So it does like a arm sweep, and then when you get hit by the arm sweep, it's 6 damage, and then you hit the ground and it's 20 damage. It's weird. Like it's like a throw where, you know, like the first part of the throw is a hit, and then they take more damage and they land on the ground.
It's weird that they would put it in parentheses. You'd think they would just list it as a second hit.
Well, yeah. They should just do the whole thing. They'll do that with throws sometimes, where they list, you know, like King's Giant Swing, you know, does a certain amount for the throw itself, and then a certain amount when they land. Or like Kuma's one, where he eats their face and then throws them on the ground.
Like 10 different damage.
Yeah. But on this parry 2 is another thing, that if you hold back +1, it will parry jail string. So if you have a string that is a fast string that you can't normally avoid the second, third, fourth hits after the first one is blocked, he will parry the whole series of strings. So he just kind of like walks back waving his arm and just like neutralizes all of these punches or kicks or whatever they are. So, you know, like Steve, for example, has his like peekaboo uppercut rushes. You know, Wang can sit there and parry all of them.
That's really useful, and especially against characters like that have those jab strings and they're just super jab happy, because a lot of them jail and put them in favorable position. Especially Steve, because he has a lot of quote unquote reversible or parryable jabs, Wang can get away from those. So
yeah. Yeah, and it's really important in a lot of matchups. And like I said, knowing the opponent's strings are kind of key to using this move, because you can't just parry something and then mash a button and you get a free hit. And a lot of times, if you're parrying in the middle of a string and you try to attack, you're just going to get knocked out of your second hit and counter hit, which is definitely not a good thing. But anything that has really good guard stun normally is something good to parry. Stuff that is normally safe to big hits, like some of my favorite ones to use the parry on are like Brian back one. If you get a good read on when a player is going to do that, and you can kind of start to see it coming, you basically turn what's a plus frame situation for Brian into a free launcher for Wang. So he does back one, and you do your back one parry it, and hit free, and you get a free hop kick launcher on him.
Yeah, and a lot of characters have those moves that they like to sneak in there. I guess back one for Brian is more of a staple, but I mean, there's a lot of characters that have those big plus hits that they try to set up that he can just get away from.
And not even plus stuff, but stuff that's like regularly -9. Stuff like Bruce back 2. I was playing somebody the other weekend, and I kind of got a read on when he would do Bruce back 2. And you just parry it, and you get either the 2 or the 3 off of it. So, and you kind of have to play around with it and see, what's guaranteed after what. But usually you can get a back 2 off of, or a back 1, then 2 off of bigger moves like that. And if not, the 3 launcher.
Anything else to add on the parry? Or that cover it?
That's pretty much it. It's not guaranteed necessarily, but if you parry something that has like a lot of cooldown, but there's guard stun involved in it, stuff like I like Brian back one as an example because it's a move that most people are familiar with.
It's used constantly.
Yeah, it's used constantly. But it's something that's normally plus frames for him, even though it has kind of a long cooldown animation. Like if he whiffs it, people know that they can punish him. And that's basically what the parry is. It turns a hit into a whiff. So like Brian's back 1, you hit back 1, parry it, and it's basically like he whiffed that attack against you. And then so you get the free 3 or 2 follow-up. So you can just parry it, and it acts like he whiffed it, and then you hit 3 and launch him. So a lot of moves like that. Bruce back 2. I actually didn't know when the game first came out that Bob's wall running 12, the big like cannonball jumping move thing. I didn't know that wasn't punishable, that it was plus frames for the longest time because I always parried it with Wong. And so I'd parry it and do, I'd just like wait and do down forward 2-1. And then I was playing another Bob with Jack and he did the big cannonball move and I tried to punish it and I was like, oh, I'm actually at negative frames after blocking
Yeah, super
that.
negative frames, in fact. But yeah, that's one of the, kind of going back to something I said when we first started talking. Wang, he's a really underestimated character because, I think a lot of people don't play him, don't know a lot about him, but it's stuff like this parry especially that changes certain matchups drastically. Like, especially against a character like a Bob or a Steve where they have these really quick traps that, just are meant to jail you and their whole game is based on controlling frames, and Wang doesn't let you do that. So, like, when a lot of other characters would struggle with a top-tier character like Steve, Wang has a lot better of chance. But.
Absolutely, yeah. He's got tools to turn a lot of these, like, lockdown type of situations and moves into his advantage.
Well, kind of to build off of Perry, we've kind of talked around this subject, but one thing I wanted to talk about was his panic buttons, because that, in a sense, that is a panic button. It comes out very quick. It's still a parry reversal. But I mentioned his Magic 4, which is amazing at 11 frames. You get a counter hit launcher. But does he have any other like really big panic button moves? out there?
Oh, to keep them off, not necessarily. That's pretty much it for panic moves. Down 3 is another one, just because it's his quickest. Well, not his quickest, because I mean he's got a duck jab, but it's one of his quickest crushes. Is down 3. It's a quick low. Sometimes if somebody's in your face with a lot of jab strings, you can sneak that in under stuff.
He still has hop kicks. I was going to ask. He has the up forward 3 and the up forward 4. 2 different hop kicks. Does the up forward 4, because it's slower, does it have more frames of crush than the up forward 3?
I actually think it's got a couple more crush frames than the up forward 3, not by much. And yeah, it's a good thing you brought up the 2 different hop kicks, because a lot of people have a lot of different opinions on these. I only use up forward 3. It's pretty much a standard hop kick like everybody else has, except it's really short range. Other people say they like up forward 4 because it has more range, and I did some testing on it, and there's barely enough extra range on it to make a difference.
I know it does more damage, for sure.
Yeah, the actual hop kick does more damage, but when you hit them with the hop kick, they go into it's not a bind, but it's like what Lily's like 6.0 up forward 4, up forward 3, whatever it was, did, where they land on their back.
Yeah, it's a weird bounce.
Yeah, it doesn't launch. It puts them in like a weird landing stun, and you have to go right into bind off of it. You don't have to, but it's the other combos off of it are kind of inconsistent. And that's really my biggest problem with the move, is the combos off of it are so inconsistent, and they do less damage than the up forward 3 combos. Plus, the up forward 4 is 16 frames as opposed to the 15 frames of up forward 3. So overall, I feel like up forward 3 is better. The only downside really is it has slightly less range, and I think it has like 2 frames less of crush animation. Up forward 4 crushes a little bit sooner, but otherwise I think up forward 3 is better.
And I would imagine, especially since he can push you so far to the wall without a bound, that would help the case for that move, since you have to go, well, that's like you mentioned, you don't have to, but for the most part, you're always going to bound right after the up forward 4. So, but you don't have to do that with
like that. Yeah, and that's the other thing, is your juggle's a lot more variable off of up forward 3. Like off of up forward 4, if you hit like a weird distance away from the wall, you have to do up forward 4, 1+2 to bind, and then like sometimes you just can't like pop them up to the wall for that, because after that bind, your best move for pickup is usually like back 2-1 or like down back 4-2 to float, and sometimes you're just too close or too far away from the wall to make that work, and so you drop like 40 points off your juggle damage just because you're in like a weird spacing from the wall. Whereas after like up forward 3, you can adjust it. You can do like a 1-4 to pop them up near the wall, or you can, do any number of things to kind of change up your wall distance to get them right where you want them on a wall splat. And you can't do that with up forward 4. It doesn't allow you that sort of flexibility.
All right, well, I guess that's the end of the list then of panic buttons. I mean, I can't.
Yeah, he doesn't have a lot. Basically. Well, I guess I didn't talk about 1-1 either. 1-1's another good one, just because it's sort of pseudo-hit confirmable. And like I said earlier, it doesn't have a specific animation or counter-hit spark for a counter-hit, but you kind of get a feel for, if you see them move or try and attack when you catch them out of it.
Yeah, I see it as no different than like Dragunov's 1-2-1. You just kind of look for it. You get used to when the timing of a counter-hit.
Yeah, you can kind of feel when you get a counter hit on somebody. If you're just jabbing it, you see them start to do some sort of animation, you just finish it. And that, that does 50 damage or right around there. And like a rolling knockback. So, on wall stages, that pushes them back to the wall. And, on the wall, it's a 50 damage wall splat, and then you get a finish up with whatever wall combo you want. So, and it's only negative 12 too, so it's fairly safe to throw out unless like your back's against the wall or somebody has a really good 12-frame Punisher.
And one thing that I did want to mention, because we've kind of been implying it the whole time we're talking about this character, but we've mentioned how relative to what the move is, he's very safe. Compared to how much damage he will get to how much you'll get off the Punisher. But, just his overall damage in general, for how safe he is, or unsafe, depending on how you want to look at it, he gets a ton of damage for how much you might be getting on him if he messes it up. And now that, everybody has the same standard life bar, in tag, it was an issue because he died in 2 hits. But that's not the case anymore. So that's often an overlooked attribute, I think. But the best phrase that I can think for it would be cost effectiveness. For moves.
Yeah.
And his is really, really high. So
yeah, he's got very good risk reward. I mean, pretty much everything he has, lows and mids, is most of his good stuff is only negative 12 punishable. So there's a lot of the cast that can't even do a lot of damage against blocking a lot of his stuff. The most unsafe moves that I usually use are bow and arrow, which is launch punishable, and down forward 2-1, which is launch punishable. Bow and arrow I just throw out sometimes. Down forward 2-1 I mostly only use for whiff punishing. But pretty much everything else with them is either safe or negative 12.
Yeah, and even bow and arrow to some extent. If you're really, really, scared of getting launch punished, you can just stop at the 4, and you don't even have to finish it. And you're still at
sometimes
and you're still at plus range. You're still really good position. You're still in full crouch if you want to be. So.
Yeah, sometimes I'll stop, I'll throw out that 4, and it's I don't know if I can risk getting launched right now. So I'll just throw out that first one and wait and see what they do.
Oh.
And same with down forward 2-1, actually. It's because one of the things that I didn't mention is Wang's backdash is really good. He's got a quick backdash. It works really well with backdash canceling. And a really good whiff punisher is down forward 2-1. The first hit tracks really well, and it's another one of those that's sort of pseudo hit confirmable. I'll backdash something and I'll throw out the down forward 2. If I see them move, I'll usually finish with the 1. If I see them, staying there or blocking, I just throw out the down forward 2 and stop. But he can backdash out of a lot of stuff, and especially how a lot of his pokes are only slightly negative or pushed back a little bit, or the way that he is pushed back by other people and he has his range issues. You can backdash out of a lot of things and whiff punish really well with down forward 2-1, and that's actually a really big part of my gameplay with Wang.
And that actually brings another question to mind. How is his sidestep? Is it pretty good? Because, he's a smaller character, so I would imagine that his sidestep should be at least somewhat decent since he's not toting around these huge hitboxes.
Yeah, his sidestep is pretty good. I know there are a lot of other characters that have a better sidestep for him. His is supposedly pretty average. I'm kind of biased because I come from playing Jack, where sidestep isn't even an option. Yeah. And so I'm like, I've got a character that can sidestep and sidewalk around stuff. So that's kind of neat that I can do that. And I forget a lot of the times that I've got that lateral movement, and I still just focus on backdash and whiff punish a lot of the time.
Yeah, and we mentioned the headbutt earlier, but he has a couple of other sidestep moves. So, it's always, as well as, if you want to throw in any other standard move out there, he has some options some really good options if he successfully sidesteps something. So
yeah, he's got a sidestep 3, which is he stands straight up, but he does a low kick. So it's kind of tough for a lot of people to see because he winds up like he's going to do a mid attack and then it's a foot stomp. That's a low that's negative 12 again. I mix that one up in my sidestep 1+2 stuff on the wall. Sometimes, you're doing that sidestep 1+2, and you just throw the sidestep 3 in there to catch people sleeping.
Yeah, I know the sidestep 3 gives frames, too, on hit, so he's in a really good position.
And the other one he has is sidestep 4, which I don't use a whole lot. It's a low sweep attack.
It's old school.
Yeah, it's definitely old school, but it launches. It doesn't launch, but it floats on counter hit. You can pick them up and get a decent damage off juggles on normal hit. It just sweeps their leg and gives you. You're actually negative on hit. You're -2, I believe. So you don't get a lot of advantage on hit.
Does it high crush? Okay.
Yes, it
I was curious because I know he gets pretty low, but I wasn't sure.
But yeah, I don't use the whole lot just because it's 13 frames on block. So some characters like Kazuya gets twin pistons on it. Another Wang will get while standing 1/1 on it. And there's really not that much of a reward unless you hit it counter hit. Because you're negative on even if you hit on normal hit with it, so you're at a disadvantage. So I'm not a big fan of using that move.
Well, that is I'm trying to think of more questions I have, but I think we're starting to run out of stuff. You got anything on in your notes or anything?
Crushes. He doesn't have a lot of low crush options, mostly his hop kick, and he's got one move up for stomp. I don't know if you've seen laws like Bruce Lee stomp where he jumps in the air and then hits low with it.
You cut out just a little bit there. Up forward, what was it?
Okay, up forward kicks, 3+4. It's pretty much the same as Law's version, as he jumps up in the air and then does a low hit when he lands. So that can be kind of tricky sometimes. I use that at the wall a bit. You can kind of mix that up with up forward neutral 4 just to catch people sleeping, but those are pretty much his only low crushes. As far as high crushes, he's really got a lot of them. Down back 3, of course, we kind of talked about already. It goes under pretty much everything just because of the range and how low he gets to the ground. It goes under a lot of mids like Death Fist. It goes under hop kicks a lot of the time. Same with his down 4 series. He's got the same old down 4 series as Julia has, where he can do the down 4 or the down 4-4, which is a low high, down 4-1, which is a low mid launcher, and the down 4, which is just a low low. And that actually works really well as a crush too. It'll do the same thing as down back 3, is sometimes it'll go under hop kicks, but it crushes almost instantly, and all of those hits are natural on counter hit. So if you catch somebody's jab string with a down 4 and then do the one ender, you get a free launch, and it's only -14 too. So it's not a hugely punishable launcher.
Again, going back to that risk reward that we were talking about.
Yeah. Again, it's not really risky. I mean, there are characters like Mishima's Julia and Brian and Lars that belong. A lot of the cast, can't do anything at -14, so you're kind of safe there. But against Brian and Lars, Mishima's, I usually kind of hold back on that one, just because you can get launched.
And I think it can't be overstated, how quick down 4 is. I mean, it's only 10 frames, and like you said, it crushes instantly. So, I mean, it's insanely. It's a lot quicker than you might even think, looking at it on paper, once you get in game. So
yeah, down 4 is actually slower than that. It's 19 frames.
Oh, is it? Sorry. I was reading it backwards. 10 damage. My bad. I was like, oh.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be pretty broken. A 10 frame crush move that launches on counter hit. I wish he had that.
Sorry, guys. He doesn't. Anyway, listen, that was completely wrong. on my part. But okay, there you go. 19 frames. That's better. So.
Yeah, but I mean, it doesn't come out slow,
No.
but it crushes really fast. It's really good against jab strings. A lot of his pokes and stuff like forward 2 will set it up really well. And the down 4-1 I use quite a bit for crushing, and the down 4-4 I use a lot too. What that does on counter hit is it just knocks them down, puts them flat on the ground. You can get a couple different pickups, or just go into like your regular wake up Oki game off of it. But the nice thing about that one is it's -6, but it looks like it's more punishable. So a lot of times people will try to jab you after that, and it's a perfect time to use his parry or the back 12 punch sabaki, or reversals after that to catch a lot of people trying to attack you after. Or you can even just go for another crush right after. You can do, down 4-4 and then down 4-1. And a lot of people will fall for that just because it looks like it should be more punishable. But and a lot of times people won't duck it because they expect that down 4-1 mid one. But it's safe on block, but they can duck and launch you for it. But you kind of use that down 4-1 to keep them on.
Yeah, I'm wondering, because Julia has the down 4 string, I can't even picture what her down 4-4 is. But I'm wondering if maybe hers is really punishable, and that's why people maybe get caught up on it.
The down 4-4 with Wang is they're pretty much the same versions. They just have different animations. Hers is -14-2 for the punch, I believe, and then the down 4-4 for both of them is launch punishable.
All right, that makes sense.
And other than that, I didn't really have anything in my notes. Just the only other thing I guess I had was matchups, and Wang, he does pretty well in most matchups. There are only a couple matchups that I don't like to use him in. One of them I mentioned earlier is Miguel, just because of the fact that Wang can't really punish things of Miguel well. He has a hard time punishing his hop kick, which is -14. A lot of people get good damage off of it. He just gets the same jab damage. Down back 1. Wang can't do anything to launch punish that. Most characters get a free launch after blocking down back 1. Wang doesn't get anything other than the wall standing 1-1. He just gets a knockdown. There are a lot of pokes that Miguel has that outrange Wang, and it's just kind of tough to get in on him sometimes and stay.
Yeah, I would imagine he also struggles with like Dragunov, because his whole game is range and keeping you at that perfect distance.
But he's got a couple nice things in that matchup, like the free wall standing or free wall running 2 that Dragunovs are so used to getting. You can parry him.
That's true. That's very true.
So that and the wall pressure with back 12, the overhand smash that gives you plus. I'm not sure how much plus you are after it, but that one I think is kind of easy to see and react to with the parry as well. So 2 of those pressure options that he has are kind of risky to do against a Wang player.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, but, now that I think about it, you would have to be pretty cautious and stuff like that.
Yeah, other than that, the range kind of be a good thing for Dragunov, where it's kind of easy to keep Wang out sometimes. The other one I have problems with is Nina, just because Nina's poke game, she does everything that Wang does, but better, and Wang has a tough time punishing a lot of her moves that other characters have an easier time punishing.
Well, yeah, and the parry I would imagine wouldn't have as much as an effect against her as it would against other characters. Because when we did the Nina podcast, one of the things that I kind of just beat over the head was the fact that even though a lot of her stuff is punishable, both characters recover so fast, including her, that, I mean, if you're not spot on, you can miss those punishes pretty easy. So, I mean, going back to the parry, you know, if she's recovering really quick, even if it's, you know, negative 12 or 14 normally, if you were to block it, you might not be able to get anything. So.
Yeah, and she's got so many mix-ups and varying speeds on things that it's just it's a bad idea to try to parry her all the time, because you'll usually end up getting hit, or you'll try to parry and attack her and you'll end up getting hit like the second, third, fourth hit of a string.
She's such a dumb character. God. She's top 2 on my most hated fucking characters. Yeah.
Top 2. Mine is Bayek and Harong.
Bayek, really?
No. Well, because I main Jack, and Wang's actually been kind of my co-main since VR, but yeah, like, though I can't even do those matches with Jack just because I don't know the characters well enough, and he can't sidestep, and he doesn't have a lot of good crushes. So I almost always play Wang in those matchups just because I can kind of use that parry and backdash.
Yeah, I hate Nina, I hate Julia, and I hate Fang. Those are my top 3 characters. And the reason that I hate those 3 characters are because they're just autopilot characters. You just put them on autopilot and they'll just do their cheesy bullshit, and there's like no real mind games going on. They're just doing the same shit over and over and over again. I fucking hate it. So like,
Fang's actually the other one that I hate to play with Jack against, because I just get that up 4-2 punch parry on everything except elbow.
Oh God, I hate that.
Yeah, he pokes so well, stays in Jack's face, shuts him down, and then punch parries me when I try to attack him.
I can't believe they gave him that move. Like, I was like, really? This move is the dumbest. Why would you put this move?
Yeah, that move's a little bit dumb.
So any other bad matchups out there that you can think of?
No, not really. Nothing that's really bad. I mean, there might be a couple other that he's disadvantaged at, but Lars actually is kind of tough sometimes because just because of the range issues. Lars moves back and forward so much with all of his stance transitions and everything that sometimes it can be really risky to kind of stick something out there to try to poke him. So you just kind of have to deal with his mix-ups a lot of the time. That's kind of another tough one, but everything else, I mean, he does pretty well. He pokes pretty well against everybody else. He's got tools to deal with everybody. A lot of characters that have kind of, brain dead trap moves, like Brian back 1, Bruce back 2, stuff like that. He's got tools to deal with. He can parry and punish them for using that, where nobody else really can, other than maybe Jin.
And that ruffles a lot of players too, when they're like so used to something working all the time, and then all of a sudden on this one random character it doesn't work.
Well, absolutely. When you're used to playing Bruce or Brian and throwing out, that one safe move, and that's just kind of what you throw out, and you don't even think about it because it's safe, all of a sudden having to gauge the risk-reward of using it and actually think about having to use that now, it takes your mind away from all the other parts of your game that you're trying to figure out, all your pokes and setups, and, it just kind of throws you off.
And that's one thing that I really like about this character, because not just the parry, but just overall, you have to play him differently than you play other characters, so you kind of, when you're playing against a player, it's, I just mentioned, autopilot for certain characters, but there's some players who just play their character on autopilot. They just have these things that they just do over and over and over again. And I think Wang forces you to think. So it's more of a challenge. You're actually playing, the player, rather than just, you have this set thing that you do and you keep doing it. So I think it's a good test, like if you play against Wang, to see how good somebody really is at the game.
Yeah.
Just a random opinion right there. But now I have to ask, though, where do you think he is on the tier list? Because I personally, like I said, I don't claim to be an expert on Wang, but from everything I've seen, some videos, I've watched some players, random Koreans that happen to play him, and everything I've read and messed with at home and whatnot, I think he has a lot of tools. He's really strong enough to be high mid. But
I think he's mid to high mid, and very high level play. Like you watch a lot of the Koreans play, and it's all pokes, very low risk, very low reward, and they don't block lows either. Just because they consider it dumb to duck, for taking little chip damage and end up eating a big mid, and Wang fits that type of play style very well because his poking game, a lot of his best moves are very safe. At the most, on a lot of them you get -12 punishment. And he's got a good assortment of unseeable lows. And even those lows, if you do block them, the most you get is a wall standing 4. So he fits very well into that kind of poke and safe play style. But the things that really do hurt him are, again, the punishment and the range. Just because if somebody does throw out something that's a little bit heavier to punish, you don't necessarily get a lot out of it. Say with Jack, like if I'm playing against like Brian or Lars or somebody, I can't throw out down forward 2 as much because, I know I'm going to get launched. Against somebody like Wang, I'll throw that out a lot more often because I know all that is going to happen. Worst case scenarios, I'm going to get jab punished. A lot of those characters can kind of make use out of those gaps that Wang has in his punishment to use moves that they normally wouldn't be able to because they're unsafe against other people.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think that's a valid argument. Very valid.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest thing that hurts him. And the cool thing is I've been following really closely on Tag 2, and I've been able to go to some of the test locations and everything, like at Comic-Con, and he looks really, really good in Tag 2. They gave him a longer reach, 15-frame hop kick. He's got his upward 3, instead of being his normal hop kick now, is like a low crush mid move that puts you in full crouch when he does it. He's just got all sorts of ridiculous stuff now in this new game, in addition to having like we talked about earlier, the waning moon and the tag for like ridiculous red bar damage.
Yeah, that's good to hear because I'm still looking for my second character and for Tag 2, and I really liked Wang in T5 and especially DR. I was so sad when they took away back 2-1 into 1-4. So sad when they took that away. But yeah, I mean, he was good in the first tag in certain, like, combos and stuff because he had, the waning moon, his death fist, and certain other cheesy shit. But I thought he was really strong in T5. I know he still has a lot of the same stuff now that he did in T5, and yeah, he just fixed those little issues.
Even giving him back, letting him keep that back 2-1, 1-4 would have given him really good 14-frame punishment. And would have given him, a better reason to use back 2-1. Like, just something little like that, a little tweak like that could have made him a lot better in 6.
So what else are you hearing from Tag 2? Any news or anything maybe on the grapevine that you heard that nobody else knows?
No, I don't have access to that kind of information. I wish I did, but the only stuff I've seen lately is the stuff where Namco's doing some sort of server test over here in California. I'm not sure if that was confirmed or not. I don't know what the deal with that is, but hopefully we get some machines in the U.S. sometime soon. That would be really nice because it looks so much fun to play.
Yeah, I did hear that rumor as well not too long ago. Actually, how long has it been? I don't know, maybe like a few months ago, like around Evo time, maybe a little bit before then. I heard through some contacts that they were going to see maybe if they could like do some location server tests and see how it goes, and then if we're really lucky, maybe we'll get some Tag 2 machines.
That would be definitely nice.
That would be sweet. Yeah, because I did get a chance to play Tag 2 at EVO. Only played it a couple times. I was horribly disappointed in True Ogre, but that's because I'm an Ogre fan, not a big stupid monster fan. So.
Yeah, Ogre seems to have been nerfed pretty bad in Tag 2. Everybody's saying that he's low tier and unplayable, and I think he's got some.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be so like low tier, but I think they're so scared about like how cheesy Ogres were in the first tag.
They didn't make another Tag 1 Ogre.
So they're not going to do that. They're going to be very careful not to give him any busted shit like that, which sucks, but whatever. Yes, it is what it is. But
yeah.
Okay, I'm trying to think. There's if I've heard of like any other exciting news. We mentioned earlier, I know a lot of Tekken players, played Soul Calibur 2, and a lot of those guys, go back and forth. So I'm sure they're excited that Soul Calibur 5 is coming out here pretty soon.
Calibur 5 too. I've been kind of keeping up on it, and it looks like a lot of fun.
And I've already said this once. I think I've said it a couple times on some podcasts but we have gotten word from some people on the inside that Calibur 5 is supposed to be a true sequel to Calibur 2. So hopefully it'll be. Oh man, got the dog freaking out.
Yeah, sorry, they came home and all hell broke loose again.
We're animal friendly here on this podcast, so it's all good. Well, I don't really have much else. We do have one little parting segment that we always do. So I'm going to throw this out and I'm going to put you on the spot. We have this segment. It's called man, wow, it's been so long since I can't even remember what it's called. A sound off. I was like, wow, why am I blanking out? But essentially, I'm just going to give you, I always say 60 seconds, but if you take longer or less, whatever. But just something that's like really, really just grinding your nads right now, something that just pisses you off. We want to know what it is. So tell us, Brom.
Tournament play, people that don't desync their PS3 controllers. I've had so many times where I've seen it happen. It's happened to me before at EVO on the mainstream where somebody didn't desync their controller and we got home screen in the middle of the match. I hate when people do that. It's such an easy thing to go desync your controller, take a PS2 controller, take the battery out of your PS3 controller, and just do something to not inconvenience other people like that in the middle of their tournament matches. That pisses me off when people do that.
I like it a lot. It's funny that you mentioned that because there are some tournaments that have desyncing stations, but when I was at EVO, I don't remember seeing it. Like, I thought that was really weird. I was like, you'd think they would want to do that, but...
They did, but they weren't, an official part of the tournament because there aren't a lot of people that use pad. The only people are Tekken players that use pad, so they just kind of have them there as a secondary thought for Tekken players. I know some people play Street Fighter 4 on pad.
Well, NK as well. I know there's a lot of pad players.
Oh, that's true. So. Yeah, I was just thinking of that. But this last EVO, they didn't even allow PS3 controllers at all. You had to have a PS2 pad or no pad at all. You had to play stick.
Oh, okay. Duh. Yeah. You had to do that. It's kind of funny that you mentioned this topic because do you play StarCraft or anything like that? Because BlizzCon is this weekend. And I don't know if it was today or if it was just yesterday and Friday, but the Korean League, which is called GSL for people who are familiar with it, they usually do like monthly seasons, like every month is a new season or whatever. And they had their finals for the October season on Friday at BlizzCon. It was the first time that Korea had ever had their finals or tournament for this league outside of Korea. And I was watching it with a buddy of mine, and I don't know if you're familiar with how StarCraft 2 works, but everything has to be done through Battle.net. So you can't do any LAN sort of thing or anything like that. Everyone has to log in, be connected to the internet, and log into Battle.net.
Yeah.
And in the middle of one of the game, the final matches, one of the spectators times out. And even if one of the spectators times out, it still freezes the match. And right when it happened, my buddy was like, "Oh my God, yes. I've been waiting for this to happen. I'm so glad this happened on a really big stage because they need to address this." And, it's something that, with the PS3 controllers and all the wireless issues, I think that, Sony, Microsoft, whoever, that they need to address that issue as well. And, there's no option on a PS3 to automatically desync all controllers.
Yeah, or even an on-off switch on the controller, something like that would be a small fix. But the thing is, it's only a problem for, the small percentage of people that are tournament gamers. Most people in general, it doesn't matter. They're just playing at home. They don't have these sort of issues. It's only an issue on, a major event like this.
Yeah, and that's why my friend was so happy when it happened. He was like, and no one is going to bitch about this until it happens on this big stage. He's like, so now that it's happened, they're going to actually address it, because the crowd, at BlizzCon, there's a lot of people who go to it. It's essentially a huge-ass Blizzard version of Comic-Con, So there's a lot of people in the crowd watching it. As soon as it happened, oh, boo, so.
Yeah. Well, that was the same thing that happened at EVO, not this year, but last year, is I was playing ESOM up on the live stream, and we got home screened by
Cole. I remember that, because he wasn't, it was supposed to be an automatic DQ or something, and he wasn't DQ'd.
Well, what happened is that it stopped, and the Cannon brothers came up to me and they said, "Hold on, don't restart the match yet. We're going to find out who did this. This shit isn't right. We're going to fix this. We're going to find out who did it, disqualify him from the tournament. Just hold on a sec, wait." And so we're sitting there, and they find out it was Core, and he's just like, "Whatever, sorry." And they say, "Okay, well, we'll DQ him from the tournament. Make us wait 15 minutes to finish our match." And, some and I are sitting there why can't we just restart this? They're just like, "Hold on, we're pausing the stream, don't restart." And then, to find out later, they were just like, "Well, Core's good, he's probably going to do well at Tekken, so we're just going to let him keep playing."
That's exactly. And that's the sad state of, the affairs for, the fighting game, because we're on the verge of being big. EVO, there was, over 1 million people or whatever that logged into the stream. So, those people watching want to see those players, so if they end up DQing them, it hurts the scene, so...
Yeah. But I also think it really hurts the scene to make us look bad, that amateur. To have one person that doesn't care. You're good at the game, you're good at this, what you do, that's one thing, but that doesn't excuse you from having common courtesy to all the other players there. What about all the other players there that want their chance to do well too?
No, I absolutely agree. I'm just glad that you brought up that controller issue, because that StarCraft thing is still fresh in my mind. And I was just laughing. We were all laughing. We were like, what a bunch of fucking bullshit. Because it's a stupid system. Why can't you do this on a LAN network, Because Blizzard has a stick up their ass and they don't want to, But now that's a problem.
And I will say this, though, that after I go on this whole rant about home screening people, I actually did it to Eris during the money match he was playing the other week at Devastation.
Oh, man.
So I forgot to bring my controller, because I have a controller with the battery taken out, just to prevent that kind of thing. And I forgot my controller. I had to borrow one from somebody else, and I forgot that it wasn't my batteryless controller, and so I hit the home screen button to sync it up, and with the one that was plugged into, and Eric stands up, and he's like, "What the fuck? Who did this?" So I was like, "Oh, shit, that's me. That's one of my biggest pet peeves in terms of gaming, and I just did that to somebody, so I feel like kind of an asshole."
Hey, whatever. As long as, but there's a difference between a hypocrite and somebody who does something wrong and acknowledges it. So, but I actually, for little events, I usually just bring my my PS3 controller, but I do have a PS2 pad with a converter for bigger events and stuff. So. Because I'm super anal about that too. I would freak out if I accidentally. But All right, well, that was an excellent rant. I like that. It added some extra discussion in there. But that's all I got. I think we covered Wang pretty well, especially after kind of we did Jack, last time. And he's a pretty simple character, not a whole lot to him.
Yeah, there's really not. I listened to that with Keeper the Crane, and yeah, he did a good job. But yeah, there's only so much you can cover.
Yeah,
with
so I'm glad that we got a lot of talk time in with this character. Hopefully, people will be a little bit more happy about that.
Yeah.
But before we cut out and put an end to it, any last words? Any shout outs you want to throw out there?
Yeah, just shout-outs to, of course, my wife for letting me do all this, go out and travel around playing some games.
The old ball and chain.
So, the regular people I usually practice with, like Filthy Rich, Leo C, Ogre, Tekken 10, there are a couple other people that I regularly get to practice with, play some Tekken with, so shout-out to them. All the people on the TZ boards, especially the Wang boards, there's a pretty good group of people there putting together some Wang technology.
Nice.
And yeah, that's pretty much it. It was a good being
Absolutely,
on the show.
yeah. Thanks for coming on and spreading on all this knowledge on everybody, so they know what's up with this character. And that's all I have. Thanks everyone for listening. We hope you learned something and appreciate what we're trying to teach you and tell you. And we will see you guys next time.